I'm not gonna lie, this was epic. This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store, get the merch link in the description section. If you ever run into any product that's sold out, there's a button right underneath the product that says notify me when available. Hit that button, put your email or your text message in. We'll notify you as soon as our products become available because y'all are buying everything out the store. And I like it. It's a blessing. Anyway, let's get into this. Kyrsten Sinema. I remember when Kyrsten Sinema ran in 2018, it was in the midterms. Kyrsten Sinema ran against Martha McSally for the Arizona Senate seat. And I knew Martha McSally was going to take a L because Martha McSally is probably one of the weakest candidates in GOP history, in my personal opinion. Why do you say that, Mr. Tatum? Not because I had anything against Martha McSally. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm just keeping it 100. She lost both Senate seats. How do you lose the Senate seat against Kyrsten Sinema and you lose the Senate seat after being appointed by Doug Ducey? You lose as an incumbent to Mark Kelly. How? Because she was a weak candidate, and the Republicans should be ashamed of trying to even put her up there, knowing that she's gonna take a super L twice, which is the first time in history that two Democrats are in the Senate seats for the state of Arizona. First time in history. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to go down that path, but let's talk about Kyrsten Sinema. Now, Kyrsten Sinema approached her entire, and I'm going to pull the screen up so we can get ready to roll, but Kyrsten Sinema approached her campaign being a moderate. In the state of Arizona, if you don't know, the state of Arizona, majority of the people who vote in Arizona are independents. So it would behoove you to appeal to both sides, although I would never compromise on any of my core values, but it'd behoove you to at least hear both sides out and be the party of the people, which is what you're supposed to be. You can't be a super partisan in a state that have independents. Now, in the state of Arizona, independents typically lean conservative. So that's why Republicans have dominated in the state, although they're mostly independent. Now, Kyrsten Sinema comes along, and I'm just going to be honest, far more attractive, far younger, far more charismatic than Martha McSally. That's why she pretty much came up here. However, I dislike a lot of things about Kyrsten Sinema's appeal because I feel like she dressed like I ain't going to say that. She seemed like she working on the corner at night when she come up to the Senate and she do her votes. She literally have high heels on and boots and skirts and all kinds. Listen. You can wear that all you want in your personal life. You can be as floozy looking as you want when you dress in your personal life. I don't think people should dress in such a dressed down, unprofessional way when they're on the floor of the Senate. Now, give or take. I really don't care what you dress like as long as you're voting in the right direction. I think I can give you a little grace there. But Kyrsten Sinema has been kind of in the middle. Some things she agree with Trump on, and some things she don't. But I have to say this was her biggest moment so far. Don't get it twisted. These people will always come out and do shady stuff if they're not completely convinced of conservative values. So I don't know where she stands on the abortion thing or whatever, but I know for a fact she voted down on the minimum wage. And then I'm going to talk to you about what she said about it because I don't think she's completely confident that she wouldn't vote yes at a later date. So let's play this video because leftists have been going off the rocker, out of the charts. They've been falling over each other, and they've turned their back on Kyrsten Sinema when they left her when she was at the Women's March with the hats on and being all social justice warrior. So they took their hate out on her because they're trying to introduce this $15 an hour minimum wage in with a stimulus bill, which is the meat of bull crap that our Congress are doing in order to try to force things through when people are not watching. COVID relief should be COVID relief. It should have nothing to do with federal legislation on minimum wage. But anyway, and that's kind of what Kyrsten Sinema's argument is. So I'm gonna let you see what she did that was epic. So here your girl rolling in, looking like she coming from a nightclub. I don't know why she dressed like that. Look like she coming from a nightclub. You know what's funny? And I'm going to say this because I hope that he wouldn't be mad at me, but if he's mad at me, I'm sorry. But I worked with her brother on the Tucson Police Department. So, and he was uber conservative, and he was a pretty hardcore dude. He was pretty rough around the edges. You know, he wasn't a very soft dude. Let me just say that. And to see his sister, Kyrsten Sinema, act very differently than he was very interesting. And people were getting mad at him and calling her bad names, and obviously he was standing up for his sister. But, bro, I like his sister's voting, but she looking like she just came from the nightclub, or like she's doing one of those walk of shame. She just came from Tony's house, and she had just threw on some clothes that she was wearing the night before. But that's nor here nor there. She goes up. People are criticizing her because they say these some $800 boots she got on, and she's flashy, she's stylish. I don't think that should be on the Senate, but she's stylish. But this is what she does. She curtsied with it. She go, boop. Miss Sinema. They didn't like her say that. Boop. Miss Sinema. That's what she did. She did this. Now, mind you, John McCain did the exact same thing when he voted no. That really killed the repeal and replace of the Obamacare. John McCain, to give a big you to Trump, went like this in all epic fashion. Leftists did not care of his decorum. But yet Kyrsten Sinema is voting no, which pretty much killed this entire bill. She voted no in epic fashion, and they mad. Now, here is my take on minimum wage on a federal level. Minimum wage federally is evil. Is pure evil. It's not meant to help anybody. It's meant to virtue signal. Because when you look at the minimum wage that have negatively affected black people since the 30s, since its inception, and this is something that Thomas Sowell talks about all the time, and you should go look up Thomas Sowell and look up what he says about minimum wage. And this is where I get my information from when you talk about minimum wage. Minimum wage negatively affected African Americans in the 30s who were trying to get work, who were employed, but then they got pushed out of the workforce because people weren't going to pay unskilled, uneducated folks the same that they were going to pay people who were technically skilled and educated, which it wasn't the fault of the black people. It's because they were behind the curve coming out from what black people was coming out in this country. They didn't have access to education, and they didn't have the money and resources to do that, although they had a skill and labor abilities that got them employed. But when they put a minimum wage in, people that own these businesses say, look, I'm not finna pay an unskilled person X amount of dollars when I can get these people for low skill work, and this is what they're worth. So I'm just gonna fire them, and I'm just gonna hire people with education, and more white people got jobs than black people did, and more people who are foreign and who come in as immigrants got more opportunities than black people did in our country. And this has residually pushed black people out of the workforce, or people who are unskilled, which happen to be lower wage, lower educated African-American people, and people of other, demographics that are poor. And it's a lot of poor black people. So this happens to white people as well. But they're saying that this is going to help minorities it's not. It's going to push them right out of the workforce. Because if you, just for instance, if I was a company and I said, you know what, I have 10 employees and I have a whole bunch of people submit resumes, I say, you know what, I can get a guy at $8 an hour that's way more skilled, but maybe need a little more work, that doesn't have a crazy resume at $8 an hour, versus if I pick this person up with a college degree, I may have to pay them $20 an hour. I mean, not $20, that's extreme. I'll have to pay them $15. So as a business owner, you're going to pick somebody that's going to get paid something, but they may get paid less than a person with a higher education. There's a floating pay scale that you are working with as a business owner. But if they say you are mandated to pay everybody $15 an hour, hey, if you got a college degree in the field that I'm searching, then I'm gonna give you the job. I'm not finna pay somebody that's unskilled, never went to college, don't have any trade, may have some work experience, but you're not qualified to be paying you $15 an hour. Or I'm just gonna fire everybody and have one person that I pay $15, or two people that I pay $15 an hour, instead of having 15 people on the job. I'm gonna start going through technology and finding resources that where I don't need human capital, because I could just use a machine that could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and people are not working. I don't have to pay a machine benefits. I don't have to pay this machine retirement. I don't have to pay this machine workman's comp. I don't have to do none of that stuff. I can work this machine till it dies, and then I can just put oil on it and refix it and work it till it die again. People you can't typically do that to, even though they do it overseas, and Nike pay good wages to slave labor overseas, but I'm not gonna get into that. So minimum wage for $15 an hour nationwide is a sin, in my opinion. The minimum wage should be negotiated per state. Each state should determine what their people should make, and there should be a vote to determine what the minimum wage is. You don't do that on a federal level. Why, Mr. Tatum? Is because California, $15 an hour is very different than Alabama, $15 an hour. State of Washington, $15 an hour is very different than Oklahoma, $15 an hour. If you live in California, you probably need to make $25 an hour as a minimum wage because the cost of living is out of control. In Oklahoma, you can probably get away with $15 an hour, and you balling. In Texas, you can get away with $17 an hour. You balling. New York, California, Washington State, you know, you can go to some places on the East Coast. You ain't finna. You're gonna have to have 3 roommates. That tells you that they don't care about you. They just want to throw something out at you to say, look, we did something. No. They would pass a bill that was on a minimum wage sliding scale if they really wanted to do something. They'll say they'll have a minimum wage and then they'll say it'll slide, it'll be adjusted for cost of living. But they're not going to do that because they don't give a about you. Just so y'all know. It's not right. You don't force somebody to pay somebody for a wage that they're not worth. This will eliminate small businesses. It will. Because Walmart can probably pay you everybody $20 an hour and still come out making hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. But they're not going to do that because that's not what the way the system is worked. But mom and pop ain't going to be able to just come out pocket $10 more an hour for each employee. These people, if you ask employees, they'll say, man, I'd rather have a job making $8 an hour than have no job making that's $15 an hour. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather make $8 an hour, $10 an hour. I'd rather work myself up to be a manager than to have no job. What's the point of having $15 an hour on your job and you don't have one? That's all that I'm saying. And what they're going to do is they're going to force people to get unemployed, and they're going to say, oh, we need more money because so many people are unemployed. It's like, yeah, because you raised the minimum wage to an unbearable amount. Anyway, shout out to Kyrsten Sinema for at least taking a stand. I don't think her stance is totally 100% against minimum wage. I just think she didn't want them to throw that minimum wage conversation into a bill, which they call it putting meat in these bills that shouldn't be in there, putting fat in these bills. They need to trim the fat out of these bills and be focused on what really is going on and not trying to throw minimum wage into a COVID relief package. You know, that's sneaky, that's dirty, that's political BS, and we should never have that pass. I do think that at some point Kyrsten Sinema is going to mess around and vote yes on minimum wage when they have an argument or a debate on the floor with that bill by itself. But anyway, I just want to give her a shout out because I do think she's probably living up to her expectations, even though I don't agree with everything she does. She's living up to her expectations of being more of a moderate politician. Hopefully Republicans can put up somebody. They're not going to take her out because she's in the Senate and she got 6 years. So 6 years from 2018 is when she's eligible. But hopefully the Republicans have an answer to these lingering problems of competence within the GOP in places that we should completely hands down dominate with little to no effort, to be honest. But somehow we screwing it and we messing up and we're causing complete and utter failures in the realm of pushing adequate politicians through on a local, state, and federal level. So let me know what you think about what Kyrsten Sinema said. I know there's a lot of people giving her crap for it. What do you say about Kyrsten Sinema doing the curtsy and voting no on this bill, similar to what John McCain did when he voted no on repeal and replace Obamacare? So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Go on to the Officer Tatum store, get your merch. If it's sold out, hit the restock button and we'll let you know as soon as we get restocked. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.